Jake Morrison sat in the metal chair and stared at the wall. His hands were shaking. He could not believe what Admiral Lisa Parker had just told him. The words kept spinning in his head like a broken record. You have to marry him, Jake. There is no other choice. The meeting room on the ship felt too small. Jake could hear the engines humming below his feet. Outside the small window, he could see stars in the dark of space. 3 days ago, everything had been normal. 3 days ago, he was just another officer in the Earth Defense Coalition. Now they wanted him to marry an alien prince. I don't understand, Jake said. His voice sounded strange to his own ears. Why me? Why does it have to be me? Admiral Parker looked tired. She had dark circles under her eyes. The last few weeks had been hard on everyone. First contact with aliens should have been amazing. Instead, it had turned into a nightmare. Because you're the only one who can do this job, she said. Remember what happened during the first meeting? When Prince Kalen tried to read your mind? Jake remembered. It had been the strangest thing. The alien prince had looked at him with those weird silver eyes. Jake had felt something trying to push into his head. But it couldn't get in. It was like having a door that wouldn't open. The doctors still don't know why his telepathy doesn't work on you, Admiral Parker continued. But that's exactly why we need you for this marriage. You're the only human who can resist their mind control. Jake stood up and walked to the window. Earth was somewhere behind them now. 3 billion people lived on that blue planet. 3 billion people who would die if this plan failed. The Zephyrian Empire had shown up 6 months ago. Their ships were huge and powerful. They made Earth's best warships look like toys. The aliens had one simple message: submit or die. Most alien races had submitted quickly. The Zephyrians could control minds with their telepathy. They could make people think whatever they wanted. Resistance was impossible when your own thoughts belonged to someone else. But humans were different. Not all humans, just a few. Jake was one of them. When Prince Kalen had tried to read his mind during negotiations, nothing had happened. The prince had been shocked. No one had ever resisted his telepathy before. The marriage is a political alliance, Admiral Parker explained. It will buy us time, maybe years, maybe long enough to find a real solution. And if I say no? Jake asked. Admiral Parker's face was grim. Then they bomb every city on Earth. Starting tomorrow, Jake closed his eyes. He thought about his sister back home. She had 2 kids and a husband who worked at a factory. They were probably sleeping right now, not knowing that their whole world might end soon. What do I have to do? Jake asked. Just be yourself, Admiral Parker said. The wedding ceremony is simple. You don't have to love him. You just have to not let him control your mind. That alone will send a message to their empire. Dr. Ryan Bell entered the room. He was carrying a tablet full of research data. Ryan had been studying the aliens since they arrived. I've been looking at their culture, Ryan said. Marriage is very important to them. Once Prince Kalen marries you, he cannot harm Earth without breaking their most sacred laws. It's like a protection spell. What's he like? Jake asked. The prince, I mean. Ryan checked his notes. Tall, 7 feet, silver skin that changes color with his mood. He's about 30 years old in human terms. Very proud. Thinks humans are weak and stupid. Great, Jake muttered. Sounds like a perfect match. There's more, Ryan continued. He's the heir to their empire. Billions of people across the galaxy follow his family's orders. If you can change his mind about humans, it could change everything. Jake laughed, but there was no humor in it. You want me to change the mind of someone who thinks I'm barely smarter than an animal? Stranger things have happened, Admiral Parker said. A voice came over the ship's speakers. Attention. We will reach the Zephyrian flagship in 2 hours. All personnel prepare for transfer. Jake's stomach dropped. 2 hours. In 2 hours, his old life would be over. He would become the husband of an alien prince who despised everything about his species. I need some time alone, Jake said. Admiral Parker nodded. Take all the time you need. But remember, Jake, you're not just representing yourself tomorrow. You're representing all of humanity. After they left, Jake sat alone in the meeting room. He thought about home. He thought about his family. He thought about all the people who would never know that their lives depended on a marriage between strangers. His hands had stopped shaking. Slowly, a calm feeling spread through his chest. Fear was still there, but something else was growing, stronger. Determination. If marrying this alien prince would save Earth, then he would do it. If pretending to be happy would buy humanity time, then he would pretend. And if there was even a small chance that he could change Prince Kalen's mind about humans, then he would try. Jake Morrison had always been good at his job. Tomorrow, his job would be the most important one in human history. He stood up and straightened his uniform. Time to get ready for a wedding. The Zephyrian ship was bigger than any building Jake had ever seen. As his shuttle got closer, he could see lights moving along its surface like glowing rivers. The ship was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "First time seeing their flagship?" asked Captain Amy Stone. She was sitting across from him in the shuttle. Amy would be staying on the ship as part of the human diplomatic team. "Yes," Jake said. His throat felt dry. "It's huge. Their whole culture is about showing power," Amy explained. "Everything they build is meant to make other species feel small." The shuttle docked with a soft bump. Jake could hear voices speaking in the Zephyrian language outside. It sounded like music mixed with the wind. "Remember," Amy whispered as the door opened, "don't look them in the eyes too long. They think it's rude. And whatever you do, don't show fear." 2 Zephyrian guards waited outside. They were tall and thin, with skin that looked like polished metal. Their eyes were completely silver, no white parts at all. They wore armor that seemed to flow like water. "Human Jake Morrison," one guard said in English. His voice was strange, like an echo. "You will come with us." They walked through long hallways filled with soft blue light. Other Zephyrians stopped to stare at Jake as he passed. Some made sounds that might have been laughter. Jake kept his face calm and looked straight ahead. The wedding hall was enormous. Hundreds of Zephyrians filled floating seats that moved slowly through the air. Cameras hovered everywhere, recording the ceremony for the rest of their empire to watch. Prince Kalen stood at the front of the room. Jake had seen pictures, but seeing him in person was different. The prince was beautiful in a way that hurt to look at. His silver skin shifted between different shades as he moved. His hair was long and white, flowing like water. He was wearing robes that seemed to be made of liquid starlight. But his eyes were cold. When he looked at Jake, there was no warmth there, no kindness, just duty and mild disgust. "You are smaller than I expected," Prince Kalen said as Jake approached. His English was perfect, but his accent made every word sound like a judgment. "Sorry to disappoint," Jake replied quietly. The ceremony began. A Zephyrian priest spoke words in their language while lights danced around them. Jake didn't understand most of it, but he knew when to nod and when to repeat certain phrases. Prince Kalen barely looked at him the whole time. When it was over, the crowd made sounds of approval, but Jake could tell they were not impressed. To them, this marriage was like watching someone adopt a pet. "You are now bound to House Vethriel," Prince Kalen announced to the room. "This human is under my protection. Any who harm him will answer to me." The reception was worse than the ceremony. Zephyrian nobles approached Jake like he was an interesting animal at a zoo. They spoke about him in their own language while he was standing right there. He didn't need to understand the words to know they were not being nice. "How curious," said one female Zephyrian with purple markings on her face. "I had heard humans were intelligent, but this one looks so primitive. Can it actually understand us?" asked another. "Or does it just repeat sounds like the bird creatures from Sector 7? Jake smiled politely and said nothing. Inside, anger was building in his chest, but showing anger would only prove their point about humans being emotional and weak. Prince Kalen watched from across the room. He was talking to a group of military officers who kept glancing at Jake. The prince's expression never changed. Finally, the reception ended. Guards led Jake through more hallways to what would be his new room. It was larger than his entire apartment back on Earth, but it felt like A very fancy prison cell. The prince will join you soon, one guard said. Do not try to leave this room without permission. Jake was alone. He sat on the edge of a bed that was too big and too soft. Everything in the room was silver and blue, even the clothes they had left for him to wear. He changed out of his Earth uniform and put on the alien clothes. They fit perfectly but felt strange against his skin. An hour later, Prince Kalen entered the room. He had changed clothes too. Now he wore simple robes that made his skin glow in the dim light. He looked tired. We need to complete the bonding ritual, the prince said without looking at Jake. It is tradition. I will share my thoughts with you, and you will share yours with me. Then this marriage will be truly legal. Jake felt nervous. What does that mean exactly? I will enter your mind. You will see my memories, and I will see yours. Most species find it overwhelming, but it will not last long. Prince Kalen finally looked at him. Try not to go insane. The prince sat on a chair across from Jake. He closed his silver eyes and placed his fingers against his temples. Jake felt that familiar pressure in his head, like someone knocking on a door. But this time was different. Instead of just blocking the telepathy, something else happened. The pressure bounced back, hard. Prince Kalen's eyes snapped open. He looked shocked, then confused, then frightened. He was breathing fast. What did you do? The prince demanded. Nothing, Jake said. I just sat here. That's impossible. Prince Kalen stood up and backed away. I felt. What? What did you see? The prince was quiet for a long moment. His skin had turned darker, almost black. Jake realized this meant he was upset or scared. I saw your mind, Prince Kalen said slowly. But it was not what I expected. Human minds are supposed to be simple, weak. But yours. What about mine? Prince Kalen sat down again, but he kept his distance. I saw memories. A human child sharing food with others even when he was hungry. Humans running into burning buildings to save strangers. Soldiers throwing themselves on explosives to protect their friends. Jake waited for him to continue. I saw humans who lost everything but kept fighting. Humans who were tortured but would not betray their people. Humans who faced impossible odds but never gave up. The prince looked directly at Jake. These memories, they felt real, but they cannot be real. Why not? Jake asked. Because that kind of strength does not exist. No species is that stubborn, that brave, that... Prince Kalen searched for the right word. That unbreakable. Jake felt something he had not expected. Pride. Maybe you don't know humans as well as you think. Prince Kalen was quiet for a long time. His skin slowly changed back to silver. When he spoke again, his voice was different. Softer. Perhaps not, he said. That night, Jake lay in the huge bed and stared at the ceiling. Prince Kalen had left. Without saying goodbye, but something had changed. For the first time since this whole thing started, Jake felt hope. Maybe this marriage could be more than just a political arrangement. Maybe there was a chance to change minds and save lives. Maybe, just maybe, humanity had found an ally in the most unexpected place. 3 weeks had passed since the wedding. Jake was getting used to life on the Zephyrian ship, but it was not easy. Most aliens still treated him like a pet. They would pat his head or offer him simple foods, thinking he could not handle normal Zephyrian meals. But Prince Kalen was different now. He visited Jake's room every few days. At first, they just sat in silence. Then they started talking about small things, the weather on different planets, the taste of alien food, safe topics that would not cause problems. Today was different. Prince Kalen came to Jake's room looking upset. His skin was darker than usual, shifting between gray and black. Something wrong? Jake asked. I have been reading about your species, Prince Kalen said. He was holding a data tablet. The official reports from our intelligence division. And they are lies. The prince sat down heavily. Everything we were told about humans is wrong. Jake felt his heart beat faster. What do you mean? Prince, Kalen activated the tablet. Images appeared in the air above it. Pictures of Earth's history. Wars, disasters, moments of triumph and tragedy. According to our reports, humans are weak because you fight each other. They say you are stupid because you destroy your own environment. They say you are primitive because your technology is simple. Prince Kalen waved his hand, and new images appeared. But they left out everything else. The new images showed different scenes. Humans helping each other during natural disasters. Scientists working together to cure diseases. People from different countries cooperating to explore space. They did not mention that you fight each other, but always come together when facing outside threats. They did not mention that you are trying to fix your environment now that you understand the damage. They did not mention that your simple technology has taken you to the stars in only a few thousand years. Jake watched the images change. He saw pictures of human art, music, literature, things that showed the beauty humans could create, not just the violence they could cause. Why would they lie? Jake asked. Because the truth is dangerous, Prince Kalen said. If the Empire knew what humans were really like, they would be afraid. Afraid of us? We don't even have telepathy. That is exactly why they would be afraid. Prince Kalen turned off the tablet. Our empire controls other species through mind control. We make them think what we want them to think. But humans cannot be controlled that way. Jake remembered his strange immunity to telepathy. Is that why I can resist your mind reading? Partly, but there is more. Prince Kalen looked directly at him. I have been studying your brain patterns while you sleep. With your permission, of course. Jake had not given permission, but he did not say anything. Human brains are different from ours. Where we have telepathic centers, you have something else. Something that makes you stronger in other ways. What kind of ways? Emotional strength. The ability to hope when there is no reason for hope. The power to love even your enemies. The will to sacrifice yourself for others. Prince Kalen's skin shifted to a lighter color. We call these things weaknesses, but I think we are wrong. A message alert chimed on Prince Kalen's communicator. He read it and his skin went completely black. What is it? Jake asked. Counselor, Vex wants to meet with me. He is the leader of the war faction in our government. Prince Kalen stood up. He has been asking questions about our marriage, about you. What kind of questions? He thinks you are dangerous. He wants permission to study you, to experiment on you. Prince Kalen's voice was cold. I have been refusing, but my father is starting to listen to him. Jake felt afraid, but he tried not to show it. What does that mean for me? It means we need to be careful. Vex does not want peace with humans. He wants to understand your immunity so he can find a way around it. Then he wants to destroy Earth completely. That night, Jake could not sleep. He kept thinking about Counselor Vex and what experiments might involve. He also thought about what Prince Kalen had said about human strengths. The next morning, Captain Amy Stone visited him. She looked worried. We've been monitoring Zephyrian communications, she said quietly. There's talk of ending the marriage alliance early. What would that mean? It would mean they no longer have to protect Earth. The bombing could start again. Amy sat next to him. But there's something else. Dr. Ryan Bell has been studying your medical scans from Earth. And your immunity to telepathy is not unique to you. About 1 in every 1,000 humans has some level of resistance. The stress of alien contact seems to be making it stronger in some people. Jake felt excitement and fear at the same time. So there are others like me? More every day, and that's not all. Amy leaned closer. We've been getting reports from other species in the Empire. Some of them are starting to resist telepathic control too. Just being near humans seems to help them break free. That's impossible. Maybe not. Dr. Ryan thinks human resistance to mind control might be contagious in some way. Not like a disease, but like an idea that spreads when people see it's possible. Jake thought about this. If that's true, then Counselor Vex is right to be worried. Exactly. Which is why you need to be very careful. If they figure out what's really happening, they might decide that destroying all humans is the only safe option. After Amy left, Jake sat alone in his room. He was starting to understand why Prince Kalen had been so shocked during their bonding ritual. It was not just seeing human memories that had surprised him. It was feeling human emotions, the strength that came from refusing to give up, even when everything seemed hopeless. Maybe that was humanity's real power, not telepathy or advanced technology, but the simple refusal to stay down when knocked down, the ability to keep fighting even when winning seemed impossible. Prince Kalen returned that evening. He looked tired and angry. "How did the meeting go?" Jake asked. "Badly. Vex has convinced my father that you are a threat to the Empire. They want to move you to a research facility." "When?" "Tomorrow." Jake felt his stomach drop. "Can you stop them?" Prince Kalen was quiet for a long moment. "I could try, but it would mean going against my father's direct orders. It would mean choosing you over my own family." "I understand," Jake said. "You don't have to risk everything for me." "But that's just it," Prince Kalen said. "I want to. 3 weeks ago, I would never have considered disobeying my father. But being around you, it has changed something in me." Jake looked at him in surprise. "I used to think strength meant having power over others. But you have shown me a different kind of strength. The kind that comes from protecting others, even when it cost you everything." Prince Kalen's skin began to glow softly. Jake had learned this meant he was feeling strong emotions. "Tomorrow I will make a choice," the prince said. "I will choose what I believe is right, not what I was told to believe." As Prince Kalen left the room, Jake realized something important was about to happen. The marriage had started as a way to save Earth, but now it might become something much bigger. Tomorrow would decide the fate of not just humans, but maybe the entire galaxy. Jake woke up to the sound of alarms. Red lights flashed in his room and he could hear running footsteps in the hallway outside. Something was very wrong. The door burst open. Prince Kalen rushed in, wearing battle armor instead of his usual robes. His skin was bright silver, almost glowing with energy. "We have to go," he said. "Right now." "What's happening?" Jake jumped out of bed and grabbed the clothes Prince Kalen threw at him. "Counselor Vex tried to have you kidnapped in the night. When my guards stopped them, he accused me of treason." Prince Kalen was moving quickly around the room, grabbing supplies. "My father has ordered my arrest." Jake put on his clothes as fast as he could. "Where can we go? We're on your father's ship." "Not anymore. Captain Amy Stone and her team have taken control of the human shuttle. We're going to meet them in the docking bay." They ran through the ship's hallways. Other Zephyrians stared at them in shock. A prince running from his own guards was something nobody had ever seen before. "Stop!" a voice shouted behind them. Jake looked back and saw 4 Zephyrian guards chasing them. They were carrying weapons that glowed with blue energy. Prince Kalen grabbed Jake's hand. "This way." They turned down a side corridor just as energy blasts hit the wall where they had been standing. The metal was still glowing hot. "There, Prince." Kalen pointed to a maintenance shaft. "We can crawl through to the docking bay." The shaft was narrow and dark. Jake could barely fit, and Prince Kalen had to fold his long body into impossible shapes. Behind them, they could hear guards trying to follow. "Why are you doing this?" Jake asked as they crawled. "You could have just let them take me." "Because it would have been wrong," Prince Kalen said. "And because I finally understand what you humans call love." Jake stopped crawling for a moment. "What?" "I've been studying human emotions. Love is not just physical attraction or political alliance. It is choosing to protect someone even when it costs you everything you have." They reached the end of the shaft and dropped into the docking bay. Captain Amy Stone was waiting with 3 other human soldiers. The shuttle's engines were already running. "About time," Amy said. "We need to leave now. The whole ship is looking for you." As they ran toward the shuttle, more guards appeared. But these were different. They were moving slowly, like they were confused. "What's wrong with them?" Jake asked. Prince Kalen looked surprised. "They are fighting the telepathic control. Some of my people are choosing to help us instead of following orders. They reached the shuttle just as more guards arrived. But instead of shooting, these guards formed a line between the shuttle and the pursuing soldiers. "Go," one of them said to Prince Kalen. "We will hold them off." "But they will punish you," Prince Kalen said. "Some things are worth being punished for," the guard replied. The shuttle launched just as reinforcements arrived. Jake watched through the window as the Zephyrian ship grew smaller behind them. "Where are we going?" he asked. "Amy. Earth sent a rescue fleet," she said. "They're waiting at the edge of this solar system. But we have a problem." "What kind of problem?" Commander Nick Torres, the team leader, answered. "While you were on the ship, Counselor Vex convinced the Emperor that humans are too dangerous to live. He's preparing to attack Earth." Jake felt sick. "How long do we have?" "The attack fleet launches in 6 hours," Amy said. 20 ships. Each one could destroy a continent. Prince Kalen had been quiet, but now he spoke up. "I can stop this." Everyone looked at him. "How?" Nick asked. "By challenging Counselor Vex to personal combat. It is an ancient law. If someone accuses a member of the royal family of treason, they must prove it in battle." "That sounds dangerous," Jake said. "It is. If I lose, I die and the attack on Earth continues. If I win, Vex dies and I become the next emperor. What about your father?" "My father is old and sick. He has been letting Vex make decisions for him. With Vex gone, I could take control and stop the war." The shuttle reached the human fleet. Jake had never been so happy to see Earth ships. They were smaller than Zephyrian vessels, but they looked strong and determined. Admiral Lisa Parker was waiting in the flagship's meeting room. She listened to Prince Kalen's plan with a serious expression. "It's risky," she said. "What if you lose?" "Then Jake will have to use his abilities," Prince Kalen said. "What abilities?" Jake asked. Dr. Ryan Bell entered the room carrying a tablet full of research data. "We've been studying your medical scans, Jake. Your immunity to telepathy is more than just resistance, it's something new." "I don't understand." "Your brain can do more than block telepathic control. It can break it. Permanently." Ryan showed them brain scan images. "When you're under stress, you emit a kind of psychic pulse that frees other minds from telepathic influence. That's impossible," Prince Kalen said. "No species has ever developed anti-telepathy. Humans are full of surprises," Admiral Parker said. "The question is, can Jake do it on purpose?" Jake thought about the night of his wedding, when his mind had pushed back against Prince Kalen's telepathy. "I don't know, maybe." "There's more," Ryan continued. "Reports are coming in from across the galaxy. Other species are starting to resist Zephyrian control. It's like Jake's immunity is spreading somehow." Prince Kalen's skin went very pale. "If that's true, then the Empire is already falling apart. Vex is probably planning to destroy Earth before the rebellion spreads further." "Then we need to move fast," Admiral Parker said. "How do we get you back to challenge Vex?" "We broadcast the challenge on all Zephyrian frequencies. He cannot refuse without looking weak. And if he accepts?" Prince Kalen looked at Jake. "Then, I fight for the right to rule an empire, and you fight for the right of all species to be free." Jake felt afraid, but also determined. 3 weeks ago, he had agreed to marry an alien prince to save Earth. Now he might have to save the entire galaxy. "Let's do it," he said. 2 hours later, Prince Kalen's challenge was broadcast across the Zephyrian Empire. The response came quickly. Counselor Vex accepted the challenge with obvious pleasure. "He thinks he will win easily," Prince Kalen explained. "Vex is a trained warrior. I am just a prince who has spent his life studying instead of fighting." "But you have something he doesn't," Jake said. "What?" "You have something worth fighting for." As their shuttle approached the Zephyrian flagship again, Jake realized that everything would be decided in the next few hours. Either Prince Kalen would win and save the galaxy, or Jake would have to discover if he really could break the chains that held billions of minds prisoner. Either way, humanity's greatest test was about to begin. The combat arena was filled with thousands of Zephyrians. They floated in seats around a circular platform where Prince Kalen and Counselor Vex would fight. Jake sat in a special section with other royal family members, but he could feel the hostile stares from everyone around him. Emperor Thane looked very old and tired. His silver skin was dull and his eyes seemed unfocused. Jake realized that the Emperor was probably being controlled by Vex's telepathy. Counselor Vex entered the arena first. He was massive, even for a Zephyrian. His skin was dark red with black markings and his armor looked like it was made from starlight. Energy weapons floated around him, controlled by his mind. Prince Kalen entered from the opposite side. He looked small compared to Vex, but his silver skin was glowing brightly. He carried only a simple sword that had belonged to his ancestors. "This is foolish, young prince," Vex announced, his voice echoing through the arena. "You have chosen to defend a primitive species that threatens our very existence." "I have chosen to defend what is right," Prince Kalen replied, "and to expose your lies about humans." The crowd made sounds of anger. They did not like hearing humans defended. Vex laughed. "Your human pet has made you weak. When I kill you, I will personally destroy their planet and watch it burn." The battle began. Vex attacked immediately, sending energy blasts from his floating weapons. Prince Kalen moved fast, dodging and using his sword to deflect the attacks. But Jake could see he was already getting tired. "He's not going to win," whispered Princess Zara, Prince Kalen's sister, who was sitting next to Jake. "Vex has been training for war his whole life." Jake watched as Prince Kalen was knocked down by a powerful blast. The prince got up slowly, blood running down his arm. "I have to do something," Jake said. "You cannot interfere in ritual combat," Princess Zara warned. "It would mean death for both of you." But Jake was not thinking about the rules anymore. He was thinking about Prince Kalen, who had risked everything for him. He was thinking about Earth about to be destroyed. He was thinking about all the species across the galaxy who were slaves to Zephyrian telepathy. Prince Kalen fell again. This time he did not get up quickly. Vex stood over him, raising his weapon for the killing blow. "Any last words, traitor?" Vex asked. Prince Kalen looked toward Jake. Their eyes met across the arena. In that moment, Jake felt something building inside his mind. The same pressure he had felt during their wedding night, but much stronger. "Yes," Prince Kalen said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I have learned something important. Real strength does not come from controlling others. It comes from protecting them." Vex laughed. "More human weakness, goodbye, fool." Jake stood up. He could not explain what he was doing or why. He just knew he had to act. "Stop!" Jake shouted. The word came out with more power than he had intended. It was not just his voice. It was something deeper, something that came from his mind itself. Every Zephyrian in the arena suddenly went very still. Jake felt the pressure in his head explode outward like a wave. Counselor Vex dropped his weapon and grabbed his head, screaming. Around the arena, thousands of Zephyrians were crying out in pain and confusion. "What is happening to me?" One of them yelled. "I can think clearly for the first time in years," said another. "The control is gone," whispered a third. Jake realized what was happening. His mind was breaking the telepathic control that held the entire empire together. All across the arena, Zephyrians were experiencing free will for the first time in their lives. Emperor Thane suddenly stood up straight. His eyes were clear and focused. "Vex," he said in a strong voice, "what have you done to me?" "My lord, I was only trying to help the Empire," Vex said, but he sounded afraid now. "You were controlling my mind," the Emperor roared. "For how long?" I can explain," but the Emperor was not listening anymore. He was looking around at his people, seeing them think freely for the first time in decades. Prince Kalen stood up, his wounds forgotten. "Father, now you can see the truth. Vex has been using telepathy to control our entire government. He has been making us into slaves." The crowd was getting angry, but not at humans this time. They were angry at Vex for stealing their freedom. "Guards, arrest Counselor Vex," the Emperor commanded. As Vex was dragged away, Jake felt the pressure in his head getting stronger. He realized his psychic pulse was spreading beyond the arena. It was traveling through the ship, then to other ships, then across space itself. Captain Amy Stone's voice came over his communicator. Jake, we're getting reports from across the galaxy. Zephyrian control is failing everywhere. Enslaved species are breaking free. Jake sat down heavily. The effort had exhausted him, but he felt good. For the first time since this whole adventure began, he felt like they might actually win. Prince Kalen climbed up to where Jake was sitting. His skin was glowing so brightly it almost hurt to look at. You did it, the prince said. You freed us all. We did it, Jake corrected. Together. Emperor Thane approached them. He looked older but wiser, like someone waking up from a long dream. Human Jake Morrison, he said formally. I owe you an apology, and a debt that can never be repaid. You don't owe me anything, Jake said. Just treat all species with respect. That's all humans have ever wanted. The Emperor nodded. It will be done. From this day forward, the Zephyrian Empire will become the Galactic Free Alliance. All species will be equal partners, not subjects. 6 months later, Jake stood on a space station that orbited between Earth and the Zephyrian homeworld. The station was the new capital of the Galactic Free Alliance, and Jake worked there as Earth's ambassador. Prince Kalen, now Emperor Kalen, found him watching the stars through a large window. Thinking about home? Kalen asked. Both of them, Jake said. He could see Earth in the distance, blue and beautiful. But this space station felt like home too now. Any regrets about our strange marriage? Kalen asked. Jake looked at his husband. Kalen's skin was lighter now, almost white with happiness. The stress and anger of the old empire were gone. No regrets, Jake said. Though I never expected to fall in love with someone I was forced to marry. Love, Kalen repeated. I am still learning about that human emotion, but I think I understand it now. What do you think it means? Kalen was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled, something Jake had rarely seen him do before. Love means choosing to build something better, even when everything seems hopeless. Love means protecting others even when it costs you everything. Love means believing that tomorrow can be better than today. Jake nodded. That sounds about right. They stood together, watching ships from dozens of different species come and go from the station, humans working with Zephyrians, former slave races now free to explore the galaxy, former enemies now allies. Do you think it will last? Kalen asked. This peace we have built? Jake thought about humanity's long history of falling down and getting back up again, of making mistakes and learning from them, of choosing hope over fear even when hope seemed impossible. We're going to have problems, Jake said. Disagreements, maybe even wars, but we'll figure it out. We always do. How can you be so sure? Jake smiled and took his husband's hand. Because now we're not fighting alone anymore. We have each other. As they watched, a new ship appeared in the distance. It was carrying representatives from a species that had just broken free from another empire across the galaxy. Word was spreading. The idea that freedom was possible was contagious, jumping from world to world faster than any army could travel. Jake Morrison had started this journey as a reluctant diplomat, trying to save his home planet. He had ended up helping to save the entire galaxy. But the best part was simpler than that. He had found love in the most unexpected place, with the most unexpected person, and together, they were building a future that neither humans nor Zephyrians could have imagined alone. Sometimes the most important victories were not won with weapons or technology. Sometimes they were won with understanding, compassion, and the simple refusal to give up on each other. That, Jake thought, was the most human thing of all.